motley crew with Dr. Feelgood, excuse me, Alita's Way, Sick, and we had Godsmack, No Rest for the Wicked, kicking that set off. And right now, we're going to go to the phones because we have Mr. Jon Butcher Axis on the line. You there, John?
Yes, thanks for having me. I'm right here.
Hey, excellent. No problem. Anytime. Thanks for hitting the G-spot. Hello, how are you, and what's going on?
Well, after that, I'm not sure I've got anything to follow, but life is good. The Axis has been busy, and this has been, the summer flew by so fast I hardly even knew it was here.
My sentiments are with you exactly. It was like a blink of an eye.
Yeah, and it was gone.
Well, you know what? It really doesn't matter because you are back in the scene and stronger than ever, it seems. You released Axis 3 about a year ago, and just a few weeks ago released the CD Experienced.
Experienced, yeah, that's actually set to pop November 1st, and we're going to debut it at the show that we have coming up at the Larcombe Theater in Beverly, Mass. On November 8th. So those who are listening and want to check out the new Experience CD, we're going to make it available for all ticket holders at the November 8th concert at the Larcombe.
That's amazing PR work on your part. Yeah, because I did read this, and I may be wrong, but I thought I read it on your website that it was released October 4th.
We had actually pushed that. We had to push back the release date by a couple of weeks because, believe it or not, I still wasn't finished recording. There was one other thing I wanted to include on the CD, and so we were rushing to finish that up. Hence the delay of a few weeks.
Can you tell us what the circumstances were leading up to the creation of Experience?
Sure. My band, the Axis, goes back to the late 80s. Chris Martin and I had a trio that went on tour with the Giles Band and came back and signed our first big record deal, and one thing led to another. So not long ago, I guess it would be 2011 or 2012, Chris Martin and I got back in touch with each other. We agreed that it would be really cool to do another Axis record after so long. So we did that, and that Axis record was called Axis 3. And the shows that we did surrounding the release of that CD were so crazy and so off the hook that we felt like we wanted to do another one. And we had always admired Jimi Hendrix, and certainly I have. And we wanted to do something that was sort of like an homage to Jimi, and we decided to record some of his songs for this Experience CD, and that's kind of how it came about.
Did you decide in your mind to do this CD before or after Axis 3? In other words, this CD Experience, was this something that you have been wanting to do for a long time?
I think so. I really do. I mean, the way it came about seemed a little haphazard, but the truth of the matter is, I had been sort of playing small bits of Jimi throughout my entire career. You know, if I were doing a tour, we might include Red House or something of that nature. And so this CD Experienced was sort of it sort of was born out of that. It was but both Chris and I loved Jimi Hendrix, and we thought it would be the coolest thing ever to record some of those songs with our own spin on them. And I think when people hear this record, they're going to be knocked out.
One of my favorite all-time guitarists and musicians and or artists is Jimi Hendrix. And when I went to research you, I noticed that. And for some time now, because I'm a little older and wiser, let's just say that.
Okay.
I have heard of you from the 70s. I mean, I was born in 64, so, you do the math. And I always knew that you were, because I can recall instances where, I don't know if it was an article or whatever, but I knew you loved Jimi Hendrix.
I think all of us did. When you think about those times, I graduated high school in 1975, and I was as influenced by Jimi as everyone else in my high school was. It wasn't just about, guitarists or guys that looked like me. It was everybody. All of us were sort of swept away. And so I think all of us feel the imprint that Jimi left behind equally. I really believe that.
I totally agree with you on that. I mean, this guy has, to this day, his music is still thriving.
Listen, you put your finger right on it. Jimi now is bigger than Jimi has ever been. All you have to do is turn on the television. And if it's not an eBay commercial, It's something else that his music has been co-opted for. And younger kids, high school students now are well aware of who Jimmy was. Maybe not as aware in the way that we came by that information firsthand. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'll tell you, I think that if ever there was a musician who left his mark on the world, it has to be Jimmy.
What was it that you did to put your own individuality on Experienced?
That's hard to put into words. What I really want people to do is, when this record becomes available in just another few days, check it out. It'll be available at iTunes on November 1st, and it'll be available on the street on November 8th. And the best way I can really answer your question is by saying we had an opportunity to take some of the coolest Jimi Hendrix songs and sort of filter them through our experience. If Jimmy were alive today, we'd be a few years younger than him. So he's still, we still hold him in that sort of high regard, like you would a sensei. And so we recorded songs like Spanish Castle Magic and Foxy Lady, and we did Wind Cries Mary. Oh, dude. And we have a killer version of Are You Experienced? It kills.
You sent me a couple of tracks, and you actually sent me 2 tracks. You sent me Crosstown Traffic and Are You Experienced, and they are both highly impressive. You actually sounded so damn close to him, I was amazed. I'm curious to know how you decided which tracks to cover and why. I know you elaborated a little bit on that.
That was both hard and easy. Why I say that? It was hard because I love all the songs. I mean, I could have had a 25-song CD, easy, So that was the hard part. But the easy part is I love all the songs. I love them all. We ended up doing If 6 Was 9, Axis Bold as Love, Manic Depression, Are You Experienced, Crosstown Traffic. I think we did When Cries Mary, too, also one of my favorites. So it really was a labor of love. It was songs that formed the soundtrack of our lives.
It is a soundtrack of our lives, and he was just phenomenal. And to this day, I still say what a tragic loss. I want to jump to Axis 3 for 1 second.
Sure.
According to your website, you were quoted as saying that, what if we re-recorded Life Takes a Life, Ocean in Motion, and Sentinel the way they should have been recorded at Electric Lady Studios? Axis 3 is the end result of that conversation, a bridge from 1984 to now. My question is, are we to interpret that as your artistic progression, or were you not fully satisfied with the original recordings?
Let me be honest with you. We were working, in those early days, we were working with producer Pat Moran. He was English. Unfortunately, he has since passed away. But at the time, Pat was assigned to us by the record company. Now, I have to tell you, looking back on it now, I realized that we didn't need a producer. We shouldn't have had one. We were, the Axis was a fully realized, fully formed band that understood who they were. So when you bring in an outsider to that mix, right, when you bring in another guy who's wearing a producer hat, your sense of who you are and your grounding gets a little diluted. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, instead of me putting a guitar solo here, the guy says, well, John, you don't want to do that because I'm a producer and I know better than you do. So I'll only say that with Ocean in Motion and Life Takes a Life, songs that we love those early records, but we wanted the fans to have a chance at hearing those songs the way we intended them to be.
That makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about Jimi Hendrix leaving a lasting influence, but you yourself, your influence has left a lasting impression on the Boston music scene. What do you think has attributed to that?
Man, what a lucky guy am I. I mean, really, how often do musicians have the opportunity to leave any kind of an impression? I mean, in the world we live in today, everything is fast and instant, right? You have it, you discard it. It's a disposable sort of, society in many ways. And so to have been able to bring fans along with me for this many years and to be able to have a career, I mean, really, to be able to have a career based on the fact that people not only remembered who you were, but dig who you are. That's the luckiest thing any musician can have happen to them. And I can't account for it. I mean, I would love to be able to say, well, it's because I did this, that, and the other thing. And I'm not sure that's true. I think when you make you make connections with people. It's hard to explain why you do, but you can feel it when you have.
You just do it, too.
We were planning on it back in 1984, when we were about to do the Jay Giles tour. I didn't know that you and I would be talking about this in 2014. I couldn't imagine what it was going to be, but I didn't know this was going to be the reality. We're doing a CD called Experienced, and we're paying homage to one of our favorite musicians of all time, and we've got this fantastic fan base around the world that has stuck with me. It's amazing, and I'm very grateful.
Your career has been pretty significant. You've accomplished yourself a lot of milestones. Your career has spanned decades. What significant changes have you seen in the music industry from today to, say, 20 or 30 years ago, other than the obvious, which is the digital age?
Well, I can tell you three things that have changed the entire face of the music industry. The first is when record companies went away. And that happened because of, free downloading. That was the beginning of the end of record companies. The second thing is venues to play. When I was coming up, there were, just here in New England, there were a dozen different nice places to do a concert. Mr. C's Rock Palace or any number of places that I can recall that are gone. The Channel, I had some of my best shows ever at the Channel Club in Boston. And so this number two is the lack of places for especially up-and-coming musicians. It's not so much an issue for us, but it certainly is an issue for those musicians that are coming up. And the last thing, the last of those three things that have really changed is access to the world. The good news is musicians have control over their own art and their own destiny. The bad news is what record companies used to do is distribute you around the world. So musicians don't have that as an option. You kind of have to do it yourself. If you want to get airplay in Italy or in Australia, any musician who has a laptop can get to somebody in Australia and get to somebody in Italy. Before, back in the day, you had to travel there. You know what I mean? Now that's changed. So it's a mixed bag of 30 years ago and today. It's a mixed bag in that we have access via the internet to the world, but you also don't have the support that you used to have from record companies. And here's the big one: radio. Radio has changed.
It has tremendously, and it's funny you talk about all this because I was just sitting here thinking the same thing. I might not have gotten to the Channel, but I've heard of the place.
That's exactly right. Dude, we all depended on the radio for how we came in contact with music. I heard Purple Haze on the radio. That's how I became familiar with it. And so the change in what radio has become, whereas it used to be in a medium that couldn't be substituted in terms of making bridges for musicians, now with internet radio and all sorts of sort of subdivisions of that, it's different. I won't say it's better or worse, but I think you'll agree with me. It's changed drastically.
Oh, yeah. It's like it's instantaneous now. You mentioned earlier you have a couple shows coming up in November, one at the Larcom Theater in Beverly on November 8th, and the other at the Flying Monkey in Plymouth, New Hampshire on November 22nd.
That's right.
What can you tell us about these shows, and do you approach each performance differently?
Well, I mean, each time we walk onto a stage, each time I strap on a guitar, it's different. We don't paint by the numbers, I sometimes work from a set list, but more often than not, I tend to sort of take my cues from the room and the people that have bought tickets in terms of what we play and how we do it. Now, the two shows you're talking about are the last two shows in 2014 and the last two shows that we will be doing the music of Jimi Hendrix. In 2015, there are other things afoot. I've got a movie that we're working on right now. And so these two shows, the one at the Larcombe Theater in Beverly and the Flying Monkey in Plymouth, New Hampshire, are the last two that will sort of have the moniker, really honoring the music of Jimi Hendrix.
These two tracks just blew me away. They really have.
I'm happy to hear that. That makes me feel good.
It just so precise. You can tell it's a Jimi song. You can tell the subtleties when you do it, but you can also tell you put your special spin on it.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't sing like Jimi, so there's that difference right away. But you know what? It was really important for us to nail this. It's sort of like scripture, you don't want to make a mistake and dishonor scripture. And for us, the music of Jimi Hendrix is tablature. It's holy. And so we wanted to be very sure that we executed this with the love and respect that this music deserves, and I think we got there.
You most definitely did, I'll tell you, man. it blew my mind. And I know you're very busy, and I guess all I have left to ask is, what is next for Jon Butcher Axis?
We are deeply involved in a huge film project called Kiss the Sky. It's a script and story written by director Norman Lang, and it stars me as the lead character, Johnny Payne, along with Tara Buck from True Blood, HBO's True Blood. She is my co-star, and we're in the middle, literally, of filming right now. We film here in New England, in the UK, and in the Netherlands, and that is something that probably will go on. The filming of this will go on for several more months at least, if not half of 2015. But we hope to see Kiss the Sky hit the theaters sometime in late 2015.
This is the first I've heard of it. Now you've got me intrigued, and I actually can't wait to check it out. It sounds to be very interesting and something I would highly enjoy. Listen, at this time, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us here on the G-Spot. I want to thank New England Concert Reviews also for helping us out with this interview. And man, great job with the CD. I wish you the best. I wish Jon Butcher Axis the best, and I hope the best for this new film coming out that you're going to be in. I hope it really takes off.
Thanks very much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. And I hope to see, I know there are some tickets left available for the Larcombe show in a few weeks. We're really looking forward to seeing everybody there. They're going to get something special that night.
You got it out, and we will put this up on NECR, and they'll hear it on there too. So,
all right. Thanks again.
Hey, thanks, John. Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Jon Butcher Axis talking to us about his new CD experience. We're going to play some music right now. Space Invaders, right here on WSUR.